get into like the disappointment of having lost the test? Just to be on the sidelines and part of such a great test match and for them to win after so many years.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we snuck over the line and we're talking about the test match that way. But yeah, we've got ourselves into some situations over the last 12 months and been able to get ourselves out of them, and that's been the great strength of this team. And in this one, we just couldn't quite get over the line. So, but to Shamar in particular, I mean, it's almost a single-handed effort, wasn't it, to undo us, and it was incredible. He challenged us, and most of those dismissals were genuine batters getting knocked over. So full credit to the West Indies. They stuck into the game. They were in a predicament early in the game, then they pushed the pressure back onto us, and yeah, it felt like coming to the ground today that we've given ourselves every chance on the back of some serious work yesterday in the heat. So disappointing, but there's still some positives, no doubt, within it all.
What do you take out of it going? I know you lost the you would like to won, but going into this challenging New Zealand series, what are the things that you take out of it that you really utilise positively going forward?
Well, I think the bowling unit getting 5 test matches in and getting through, and they've all pulled up well again. I think it's an incredible success for the same attack to play throughout the summer. So I think that's a huge positive, and in particular on the back of where we've been in terms of the workload we've had, but the way they've pulled up. So that really bodes well for New Zealand. Steve Smith at the top of the order. No doubt that's been spoken about publicly around potentially is that the right move, but felt like in this game, and the 91 not out was a significant knock, and the way he was able to control it and give us an opportunity, I think that was a huge positive. Cameron Green got some time in the middle and was undone by a ball that bounced a little bit and found its way back onto the stumps, but the way he played and the way he moved, so there's positives throughout, and that's just to mention a few.
You give the batting order, you give time to gel, don't you? Change it just after a couple of tests just because you lost one either.
No, definitely not. No, we're not in the mood to change the batting order. We feel like as a collective that unit will be able to have success over multiple test matches, and we'll let that play out.
Andrew, that was very complimentary of Canberra's spell yesterday. Do you feel like, he said he was going to pick up bowls, he thought, New Zealand, do you think will suit him to a T, you would have thought?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, New Zealand, you can get some flat conditions as well. So, but generally early on in the test matches, there's a lot of life in it. So, he's a genuine fourth quick option, and we went to him ahead of Mitch Marsh in this game. And the previous one, we went to Mitch Marsh instead of Cameron Green. So, we've got options aplenty there. But yeah, he was able to control. He was pretty unlucky. I think he ended up with 1 for 37 off 10, and it felt like it could have been anything. So, no, he's really impressive the way that he stepped back to the bowling crease. So, yeah, we're optimistic that he can play a full all-rounders role. There's no doubt about that in New Zealand.
Just with his batting, regardless of the result, just the way he seemed to grow into his innings today at number 4. Is it one of those positions where you need more time before he just takes it as well?
I think if you watched his innings at Shield level and at international level, he can start slow. There's no doubt about that, and that's something that he's working on. It takes him a while to get his movements in sync at times, but that's no different to any other batter. But once he's up and going and moving well, it's a pretty good sight.
And what about his body now? Is there any restrictions you guys are placing on him bowling-wise now?
No, there's no restrictions. It's like all the quicks. We try to manage them the best that we can. There's no doubt about that. And as you saw yesterday, there was no restrictions on him. He would have been able to bowl more overs should that have been the need. So we feel as though, he's in a position now that the reins will be let loose on his bowling. It has been that way for a period of time. It was probably only really in the first couple of years of Test cricket, coming off the back of where he'd been with stress fractures, that we're probably a little bit cautious in terms of building him. But there's no doubt that he's capable of whatever we put in front of him.
Andrew, you mentioned, I guess, the positive side of being able to get out of situations versus the other one that you have been in quite frequently.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Does it go back to individual players and I guess how sharp what the focus is at the start of the innings?
First and foremost, you don't want to put yourself in those positions. There's no doubt about that. We have found ourselves in those positions, but I think the context around that is the wickets have been a little bit trickier, and I think players have mentioned that when you've got the ball in hand and it feels like things are getting away from, there's always enough life in the surfaces. So it's probably over the last 12 months been a more even balance between bat and ball. So I think that's probably reflected in the way games have ebbed and flowed. You can get back in, and you saw today, 2 for 110 or something like that, and there was still enough on offer, and they were able to expose that, and then suddenly they're back in the game, and then we've got to work to get back in. So I think the surfaces have probably lent themselves to that. There's no doubt we want to get better at that as well. That's definitely an improvement area. And there'll be some batters that sit in the room that potentially look back on the summer, and there's a few missed opportunities there. Was it decision making? Was it good bowling? And that'll all unfold. But these guys have got an appetite to improve the whole time, and you guys witness that. So
having refreshed the batting order a couple of test matches ago, rationale about, I suppose, keeping faith with that and letting that play out over a bigger sample size than 2 games?
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose if you look at the irony of it all, the question marks were on Steve Smith and Cameron Green, and they were our 2 best performed batters today. So, but we see our batting unit as a collective, and there's going to be people that fail within that at times. There's going to be people that succeed, and it's all hands on deck. But we feel as though with that order, the way it is, they complement each other, and we should be able to navigate through most situations.
When you have someone, like Marnus and Labuschagne, who his average was in the 60s for such a long time, and now it's the lowest it's been since the summer of Marnus 5 years ago, 50.8 or whatever. Is it just an international career evening out, or do you look at that with not concern, but you actually look at those numbers and go, oh, is something that needs to be worked on?
I think the positive within that would be that the law of averages suggests that he's due for a couple of bumper test matches and series, so we've got full trust and faith in the way that he goes about his preparation, the way he goes about his innings. So he's been undone by certain plans at times, so there's no doubt he'll be looking into that as he normally does. He'll get busy, he'll get back to work, and we've got full confidence in his ability to rebound, and he's a quality player, and you don't average 50 in test cricket, but there's no doubt that you're going to go through some lulls of form, if you want to call it that. But we expect him to bounce back, there's no doubt about that.
Do you envisage a couple of the guys who aren't involved in the white ball cricket or involved in one bit and not the other playing a Shield game or two before going to New Zealand?
Yeah, we've sort of just spoken to the boys there in the wrap-up, and that'll be something, sitting down and looking at what the best preparation is on the back of a long summer for the majority. Every individual will be different in and around that, and we've shown that even at the start of the summer with BBL. So, yeah, we've got to make sure that we tailor that preparation for New Zealand to each individual, and we'll work on that over the next 24, 48 hours and get that out.
And just a broader one about dropping this test match now with the World Test Championship.
Yeah.
Does that add an extra focus? Does it really ram home the importance of every test match, even when a series is drawn or a series is won already?
Yes, no doubt, and that's what we focus on, and that's part of the debrief, is that we've dropped one at home, and clearly that means we probably need to make one up overseas. So we've got 2 overseas tours left in New Zealand and Sri Lanka. There's 4 test matches there as a collective, and then you've got 5 against India at home. So every test match is going to have an importance, and I think that's the wonderful part about the IT's, the World Test Championship.
How's Steve feeling after knocking a finger and he proceeded to jar his hip yesterday?
Yeah, I think he just stretched his abdominal sort of muscle down there, but he's fine. And then the knock, there's no ice on his hand or anything like that, so I think he might have just jammed it. But he got through fine.
Was it just on step? Was he pretty gutted?
Oh, there's disappointment whenever you lose a test match. And I think even Josh Hazlewood, he sits in the room afterwards, and he's probably the last man out, so that's probably the focus point, isn't it? And it's like any game. Of sport, you probably focus on the back end of the game. That's your focus point, but throughout the whole game, could we have found 9 runs here or there? There's no doubt about that. But yeah, the boys are disappointed. As you said, the importance of the World Test Championship. It means that we're just going to have to pick up some points away.
Just on Steve, what's the value for him of these one-dayers, given where you're at in the cycle, and clearly he's pulling into a new role in the test side?
In terms of the value of him playing,
yeah. And for him and the team.
Oh, he's captain, so it's important that we've got some strong leadership around a young group, and we feel as though we've got that in Steve. We've got the ICC Champions Trophy as well on the horizon, so that's our next major challenge and trophy, and it feels as though those players that are involved will still get to that. There's no doubt we've got a little bit of a focus on what it might look like in 4 years, and that's probably shown in some of the selections that we've made. But yeah, the next trophy up for grabs is the Champions Trophy, and yeah, we want to build towards that as well, and not dismiss obviously the 4-year build to the World Cup as well.
So it's a little bit ahead in the calendar, but does this add a little bit extra when you actually go to the Caribbean? It's second half of next year?
Haven't looked that far forward.
Like the Caribbean trips are pretty few and far between for the Australian team.
Yeah, it's been a while. You'd probably be able to tell me when the last one was. There's no doubt. There's some exciting talent the West Indies have got, and I think that should be the story in amongst all of this, is the way that they played, and they took it to us. They got ahead of the game. We worked our way back into it, and then they shut the door finally on that last day. And after the blow last night to Shamar's foot, no one sort of gave him a fighter's chance of getting out there, and that spell we produced, the length of it, the quality of it, and the speed. I think he's hitting high 140s. That was exciting. So yeah, they've got some exciting talent, and it's great to see for West Indies cricket.